Hi, I'm Karen. We're here at Montavilla Sewing Center, and today we're talking about the Baby Lock Triumph serger. In this video, I'm going to show you the accessories that come with this machine. To start with, we have the wonderful manual that talks about all the different things that you can do with your machine. Also, you have the quick reference threading guide. Now, this has 6 pages with both sides like this. You can fold it any which way that you need to. And think of each of these as like a recipe card. So you would follow all the guidances on each of these, all the settings, and then look carefully at the threading path to do the particular serging that you want to do, particular technique. Okay. Then we have the power cord where you plug it in, and we have the foot control. Those are 2 separate things. And then we have the knee lifter. Now this is a really neat feature with this machine. You can lift up the presser foot using this here, and it plugs in right over there. I use that a lot on my serger. And then, of course, we have a cover that goes on your machine. It's a dust cover. Important to keep your machine covered up when you're not using it. That's especially important for your thread. You don't want dust getting on top of your thread because that's going to get down inside your machine. So when you're not using your machine, cover it up. Okay. And then over here is the little table. That's what you'd use if you're doing cover stitch or chain stitch. You'd use this little table here, and it attaches instead of your knife cover table there. Now, speaking of this, you've got these 2 little screws that come with your machine. These attach here or here, depending on what kind of accessory that you're using. And those would be additional accessories that you could buy, but that's how you would attach them, say like a guide or something like that. So that's these 2 little screws here. Now, let's get started with the things that are here. These are spool caps, or they're spool stands for extra large spools. So like some of your specialty threads, you would use that, and you just put them right on there like that. Okay. And these are, you got 8 of each of, and I got 2 of those, you got 8 of each of these here. These are spool caps, either with the foam or without the foam, and you would use those for your short spools of thread, non-serger type thread, and you can use non-serger thread like decorative threads in this machine. So what you do is you take off your these spool cones here, cone holders, off of there, and then you put those on instead. So you've also got the cone holders here, and that's for your cones that have this wide bottom here, and it keeps it nice and stable. So another thing to notice about these is if you find that you're missing one of them, look inside your cones, because sometimes inside your cone thread is where one of those is hiding. So that's good to know. And you have 8 of each of those, so 1 for each of these. Now, most of the time, you're not going to be using all 8. Some people do, and you can for decorative purposes, but usually it's either cover stitch or serging, and those would be different spool pins for each of those. Okay. Now this thing here is a really nice little tool. This would be for helping you to thread your machine. You have an air threader, and when you're using this helps you guide your thread just in the right place, and I'm going to show you how that goes on. Open the door here. Okay, now I've got it, if you have it down into threading, you've got the needle bar in just the right place. This little part here goes right up above like that. Depending on whether you have the cover stitch needles in there or in this case, I have the serger needles, that will help guide the thread in there so that when you use your thread guide, your threading mechanism, it helps. I've been able to use it without this, but it's kind of your choice. It just makes things easier. Okay. Get it out of threading. Here we go. Now, I didn't take it out of the package, but this is a extra knife, and this is your upper knife. It's a slightly softer metal than the lower knife, so your upper knife is the one like if you went over a pin or something, which you never want to do. But if you did, it might dull that or put a little nick in it. And so this is an extra knife that you can replace that with. And the book is going to tell you how to do that. But in case you feel a little unsure about how to do that, just bring your extra knife in and we can do it here for you. Put it in the correct way in your machine. Then you have needles. Now this is the EL by 705 CF. The CF is chrome finish. That's what that means. That helps it go through the fabric better. You've got 2 size 12 needles and 3 size 14 needles. That's because these packages hold 5 needles, and so you get an extra size 14. And then this is your manual needle threader. There's a specific way to do that, and the packaging will tell you how to, there's a little thing how to do it. I used to know how to do these really well. Dritz also makes a little needle threader this way. That part actually goes through the eye of the needle to push a loop through. I really prefer using the air threader. Now this is a looper threader, and if you look carefully, you can see that it looks like it has a little, what a needle threader looks like, but that doesn't go through the needle. This part actually goes through the looper. So if you have really thick thread like this that the looper mechanism just won't pick up, this is what you would use to help pull that through. Okay, then you have a screwdriver, kind of obvious what that would be for. And then you have, this is your needle inserter and brush. Now, because this cuts the edge of your fabric, you need to brush that lint out of there regularly. And so this is a nice brush for doing that. And then it's got a needle inserter. So this makes it like a little handle for your needle. So when you're putting your needles in, you're changing your needles, you can hang onto your needle with this right here. Okay, and then tweezers. Tweezers are always helpful if you're, say for instance, you're using this needle threader here. Once you get that little loop back there, you can pull it through. And for other reasons, tweezers are really nice, and it has that little hook there. You can kind of grab a hold of a loop or whatever. Then we have, this is like an Allen wrench or a hexagonal wrench that you'd put in here for changing your needles. It fits in there just really nicely. Okay, now what about these guys here? So we got 8 of these. These are spool nets, and what you do with that is with a decorative thread that tends to want to kind of fall off the spool like this, you'd put this around your decorative thread. And I've folded it in half because this is a shorter one, but sometimes you have very long cones, in which case you'd use the full length of that. And you can put this around your cone from the bottom, and your thread will just come out from the top. Got that a little bit tangled up there. But that's what you have. And you have 8 of those, so you could actually have 8 cones of thread that are specialty thread, and you've got enough for all of those. Now, I know of a lady that uses this serger, and she has a lot of shorter cones like this. She just cuts those in half. So maybe cut one of them in half, and that way you've got 2 shorter ones, and then you've got 7 more of the long ones. You can do that way. So play with your machine. Watch my other videos. We got lots of YouTube videos on this machine and on other machines here on our Montavilla YouTube channel. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching today. Bye-bye.